Welcome back to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference and powering the good. And we love talking about the Memphis Child Advocacy Center doing tremendous work here in our community. We're honored to be joined by their executive director, our good friend, Virginia Stallworth. How are you doing?
I'm great, Jeremy. So good to be here.
Well, you all do tremendous good indeed, and we'll talk about teddy bears, but let's first start out with the 30th anniversary. And so give us a little bit of history and context for the Memphis Child Advocacy Center.
This month, in fact, it marks our 30th anniversary of opening the doors of the Memphis Child Advocacy Center back in September 1992. And it was an incredible group of folks who founded the Child Advocacy Center, community leaders, folks in mental health, in the school system, folks, public defenders and prosecutors alike, were in the room talking about how things needed to be different in our community and in fact everywhere in terms of how we respond as a system when a child may have been sexually abused. And they learned about a new model in Huntsville, Alabama, created by a prosecutor who knew that the way we responded was traumatizing kids further. And they brought that model back to the Memphis community. And of course, it was brand new. We were the 14th Child Advocacy Center in the country to open our doors. There are nearly 1,000 nationwide and actually internationally now. But it was an experiment 30 years ago, brand new. And of course, it's no longer an experiment. It is firmly established best practice that results in better outcomes for kids. And that's what we're all about, is helping victims become children again.
Absolutely. We'll talk about how you're raising awareness in the community outreach side of this, but let's stay on the path of what you do and what makes you special. You mentioned prior, very traumatizing for the child because they're having to go and retell the story over and over and over again. One of the things that I really appreciate is you bring everyone to one place and you make it so much easier for the child, but also too, to take action. Talk about the process and how it all comes together on your end.
The Child Advocacy Center is a one-stop shop where all the professionals who need to be involved are either located on site or they come to this site to work together in a coordinated fashion in response to that child and their non-offending family members. So kids get to come to this beautiful, welcoming and warm and child-friendly environment where we are all focused on the child's needs. And they come here first usually for a forensic interview, which is a fact-finding interview with one of our child specialists here who knows how to talk to kids in ways that hopefully minimize any additional trauma as they are telling what happened to them. And just to give you a contrast, what it looked like more than 30 years ago was typically kids would go down to 201 Poplar to the criminal justice complex and be interviewed by a police officer in uniform. They'd walk through a door that said sex crimes above it. You take kids who overwhelmingly feel like what has happened to them is their fault, and you take them to the police at the criminal justice complex. We were just reinforcing those ideas that this was their fault, that they were in trouble. So we have come a long way in transforming the system response to abused kids in our community. And that is so important toward truly seeing our vision of helping kids find safety, healing, and justice.
This will tie into an event that we'll talk about in a little bit, but teddy bears also play an important role in what you do. So talk about teddy bears.
Well, we have this huge wall of teddy bears. They are all brand new teddy bears donated by people throughout our community. And after that forensic interview, the child gets to go to the wall and pick out a teddy bear. They have that choice and they get to have that comforting, cuddly teddy bear. And, you know, I tell people all the time that we don't begin to pretend that teddy bears alone solve all the pain of childhood sexual abuse, but we know, in fact, that it makes a difference for our kids. Now that we've been around for 30 years, of course, there are adults in our community who came through the doors of the Memphis Child Advocacy Center as a child. And we have heard it's the same phrase they all use when they share with us, "I still have my bear." So pretty incredible. And I will say that in addition to, the comfort when they get to pick out that teddy bear and take home with them after that forensic interview, just the visual of that wall, when they walk into the center, it communicates to them. It's another way we communicate to them that they are in a place that is all about kids and safety.
Carry that into the outreach side of what you do, because there is a huge component of that and training that goes into the community as well. So talk about that side of what you do.
We have been doing prevention work since before we even opened our doors back in 1992, because while the Child Advocacy Center model is focused on response after a report of abuse, of course, we need to work to prevent child sexual abuse from happening in the first place. And about a decade ago, we refocused our efforts and adopted a very promising evidence-informed training called Stewards of Children. It is a child sexual abuse prevention and response training specifically for adults. And when we launched that new effort just over a decade ago, we were announced a goal of a tipping point goal of training 5% of adults in the Shelby County population. So that's about 35,000 adults. And just recently, we held a prevention town hall where we gathered with a bunch of community leaders, elected officials, our partners from Le Bonheur and Rape Crisis Center and Juvenile Court and Department of Children's Services, along with other nonprofits throughout the city who work with kids, healthcare professionals, to talk about where we are and where we want to go. And the great news is that we've made considerable progress. We have trained over 29,000 unduplicated adults in Shelby County. So we are about at 83% of goal. Now, I will tell you that our prevention director, Chris Krim, always reminds me to tell people that's our short-term goal, right? When we reach that 5% goal, we're not stopping. We're going to keep going. But what's important about that 5% goal is that is the tipping point when we expect to begin to see norms change throughout our community around child protection and the prevention of child sexual abuse. We will see considerably more people, parents, knowing the red flags, which is so important to recognizing that a child, someone may be targeting your child or abusing your child. We'll have parents asking organizations where they're going to enroll their kid in an after-school program, what kind of child protection policy do you have in place? We certainly know that we're already having an impact even before we reach that tipping point goal. So many more organizations have that child protection policy in place, have come to workshops that we do around that, have used our consultation services to help them make sure they have not just policy in place, but strong policy that makes a real difference. So it's we're making progress, and we are issuing a call. We want to rebuild the momentum. Obviously, the pandemic, certainly slowed some things down in some different areas. We never quit. We never quit doing in-person forensic interviews. We never quit serving kids. We are an essential service. We also never quit doing prevention. We pivoted to an interactive virtual format, which is not so novel anymore, right? But we are now doing both virtual and in person for our Stewards of Children training, and we're ready to reach that tipping point goal.
Well, when you talk about Stewards of Children and that training, I myself have gone through it. We've hosted them through City Current. I can't stress enough the importance, just like you're talking about, for parents, any coach, any sort of nonprofit leader, school leader, anyone who works with children definitely must go through it. But I think that really it's an opportunity for everyone. When you talk about the 5% and beyond, to me, you learn so much, and it really does open your eyes, but it helps you then ask the right questions and know what to look for. So I just think it's amazing what you're doing there. And I would definitely encourage anyone and everyone, any organization, to reach out and work with you to be able to host their own training and be a part of that number increasing. Carry that into maybe one of the things that really, outside of the numbers growing, what puts a smile on your face coming out of those opportunities to gather these stakeholders and see their participation and engagement. So what puts a smile on your face in terms of where we're headed with this?
As far as the prevention town hall, I will have to say the engagement, the attentiveness, the buy-in of the folks in the room. They were captivated by what they heard and saw, a very compelling video that is survivor stories that are reflective of what is in the training, which are so instructive. And I think the prioritization of this training, as I was talking with some folks, there are so many needs, there are so many challenges, and nobody, I don't think, is going to say that prevention of child abuse is not a priority. But sometimes getting it moved up to the top of the priority list for a large scale commitment to the training in a system, an institution, a large organization, sometimes takes a little time to come together. And so when we can convene, whether it's through this conversation or physically in a room, as with the town hall, and kind of create urgency, then we can really make a big leap in training more and more people. And I will say that we have extremely strong, concrete outcomes from the training. We track 6 months after the training. We do a survey asking people about concrete actions that help keep kids safe. And it's amazing. And it's been like that for all 10 years. The numbers are consistent year to year, that we are doubling really the number of people from pre-test to 6 months down the road that are taking these protective actions that help prevent opportunities for abuse to occur.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I do want to mention one additional thing about really who we're trying to reach. And I think I heard you say all adults, and that is absolutely on point. We often talk in terms of youth serving organizations, healthcare, schools, everything from daycares to higher education, the faith community. And I will say that we are starting to issue a call to our corporate partners. Your employees are largely made up of parents, moms, dads, grandparents, aunts, uncles, neighbors. And so we are asking our corporate friends in our Memphis community to give us 2.5 hours on company time. Let us come in and train your folks.
Yeah, and that's where I go back to as a parent. This training is extremely important, and knowledge is power. And when you know what to look for and what to, the warning signs and how to go about and take action, it really is empowering. Carry that into an upcoming event, because when you talk about supporting your efforts, being more knowledgeable of your efforts, you've got a huge upcoming event. So talk about the big event.
Well, we are so excited to be going back in person with our annual gala. This is actually our 33rd annual gala. This is an event that was started by Carol Prentice years, in fact, before we even opened our doors. And it was the original fundraiser to be able to open the Child Advocacy Center. And it continues today as our single largest fundraising event, our signature event. We will be at the Hilton Memphis. So that is a new location. We were there once upon a time, but it's been a good more than 15 years ago since we were at the Hilton. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be on Thursday, October 27th. We have the Soul Shockers as our band. So, there are signature elements to the gala that will be a part that are familiar to people who have come to the event year after year, and an incredible multi-course gourmet meal, dancing, teddy bear surprises. That is an element that is unique to the Child Advocacy Center's gala. Teddy bear surprises all have a bundle of items, whether it's gift cards or decor or travel. They're bundled together. You don't know what you're getting. That's the surprise part. And the fabulous thing is that every year they sell out. So folks coming to the gala, veteran gala goers, they know, get in there and get your bear. Because if you wait around trying to figure out if you want a $250 bear or a $500 bear, next thing you know, there's no bears left. So we're looking forward to seeing everybody. You know, we've been virtual online gala for the last 2 years, and I have to say how grateful I am to the gala sponsors who kept with us. Even though they weren't going to a big fun party. We had over 70% of our sponsors continue their sponsorship over the last 2 years. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody in person at the Hilton on October 27th.
So mention where we can go to purchase tickets and sponsorships, website, where do we go?
You go to memphiscac.org and click that donate button, and there is a gala page. Tables are $3,000. They seat 10 people. And you also have the opportunity for 2 celebrity servers. And that is both people that you might line up or that we might line up. Often it's the hosts of the table. So it's a fun part of gala. It's really like, our goal, of course, is 50 tables, and we're making great progress toward that. We're not there yet, so help us get to goal. But it's like one big party, but it's also like 50 parties within a big party, because the tables are all made up of friends and family or coworkers or clients, vendors, and they're all having a good time. And that's part of the celebrity server's role, is to help everybody have a good time and make sure the wine keeps flowing.
Absolutely. And it's all for a higher purpose, everything we're talking about. So that makes it even more special. Wrap up, because you never can say it enough, again, with the website. So where do we go?
We go to, or you go to memphiscac.org and click that big donate button at the top of the page.
Well, Virginia, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Jeremy, thank you so much.